Let's talk about Medi-Cal. You have a choice, and Molina makes it easy, especially when it comes to the care you need. So let's talk about you, about making your life easier, about extra help to manage your health. Let's talk about your needs now and for the future. Nobody knows Medi-Cal better than Molina. It starts with a phone call. Call 866-420-5330 or visit meetmolinaca.com. Let's talk today.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast. My name's Dan Kennett, and with me to discuss two more wins, a win and a draw, but qualification for Wembley and the League Cup final. I've got Phil's had to drop out at late notice, but I do have the other two members of the A-team with me. First of all, he is Mr. Dependable. He is the Virgil van Dijk of the podcast. It's Mr. Hamzah Lunat, sports writer at the Times. Good evening, Hamzah.
Well, good evening, everyone. I won't be doing any press conferences today, which will give you bad 12 o'clock midday news about how I want a new contract. So,
You're already asking for more money. Is that what you're telling us, Hamzah?
No, I won't be doing that. It's never nice midday news. It's just all it does is upset you more. So, yeah, you won't have any of that from me.
But he's here. It's Monday. It's his manic Monday, but he's here to do the podcast, and there's so much to talk about. It's Mr. Simon Brundish.
Boys. Yeah, it's been a while. So I think I missed last one, didn't I?
Yeah, you had a diversion because of the storm Jocelyn.
Oh God, yeah, actual wind.
Yeah. So, how long did it take you to get home? How many hours?
Oh, forever. I don't even remember because it's been twice. We had two of those storms, and they just closed roads around here. And the week before that, it was flooded, so they closed the road because they closed that main road because it was under 3 feet of water.
Have you thought about moving somewhere closer to civilization?
It would make sense, but it's not far away. It's just
because you do have you have to put 50p in the meter in the hamster runs around to get your internet, right?
Not now, but we had done, yeah. And now I get 900 meg. We get the good stuff, but it took a long time to get there. We live in what's called apparently a dormitory village. So 20 years ago it had 12 houses. Now it's got 12,500 people.
Yeah, and everybody in there commutes to somewhere else for their work. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Basically, like the whole of the Wirral, pretty much like that.
That makes sense. Yeah,
a giant dormitory.
We're like Rolls Royce or Toyota,
right? Yeah, Rolls Royce in Derby, of course. Yeah.
Or England
anyway,
these days.
That's enough about local English geography. Nobody wants to listen to this on this podcast because this is the first Under Pressure podcast since the news. Si, I'm going to come to you both. I'll come with you first, Si. I mean, initial thoughts on the news and how you feeling about it now?
It was crazy. If you remember, I was the one that put it in the group. I just had a session cancelled, and I picked up my phone and opened the Twitter, and it was I saw Liverpool tweeted with Jurgen as a message for the fans, and it was tweeted 15 seconds ago. I literally got it live. It was the first thing I read.
Wow.
When I picked up my phone, I was like, whoa, this can't be real. And genuinely, I had that thought process. I'm old. So I had the thought process go from my brain, right? Is it April already? Fucking hell, we're already close to Christmas. It was genuine. That's what I thought. This can't be real.
April Fools.
And then I looked at I went straight to look at Joyce's account, and it was real on it, and he said it. I was like, oh my God. Then I watched the whole video.
Yeah.
And it gave me chills. It reminded me so much that it will be for anybody over 40 that I remember sobbing. It was this. It was the worst day of my life was in '89, and then that was the second worst day of my life. Um, Straight after the Everton Cup final,
Yeah.
the Everton Cup game,
Yeah.
which was an insane match.
So for young players, you're talking about Dalglish resigning, yeah?
Yeah, Dalglish
Yeah.
resigning, and in my brain, I could only really remember him as as our manager,
Yeah.
and it just I just couldn't reconcile that he'd want to leave. Like as an adult, I totally understand that now, but like it's the dream. Like he was Iron Man, basically.
Yeah.
And then Klopp, now this, I can see how the younger fans, my son was absolutely devastated. My daughter cried. My wife came home, went to bed to sulk. Yeah, like she consumes more Liverpool media than I do, for sure. But like, it's just devastating and totally understandable and couldn't be more Klopp, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It was a great video. It was a great message. He's got such a way with words, hasn't he?
He really has, and the weird. I don't know. While I'm rambling about these things, my wife and daughter love Swifty, and it's quite a thing. And she is quite a. Hamzah will talk about this, I'm sure. She is quite a figure in the world of culture, and I likened her to Klopp in a. That you're going to get some extreme people that hate her, but they're really few. But it feels like there are loads of them because they've got really big gobs, and they tweet about it all the time, or they make fun of her in high profile like comedic news shows. But in fact, she is just like fairly beloved like nobody else in the world. A ridiculous number of people go to her concerts and buy her tickets and buy her stuff and idolize her in exactly the same way as Klopp. Like, not just the people that adore her, but also the media love her and absolutely love him. Without him, the Premier League would be like it will get like 50% of the interest in the daytime. That on the news when Klopp said he was leaving, it like literally Sky News. They blocked out an hour of news footage to have his press conference and then chat about it.
Yeah, it was a top story on BBC News. Actually, not on BBC Sport, on BBC News.
Nobody else in football would get this. This didn't happen when Fergie was quitting. Didn't happen when Wenger was quitting. I'm not saying they're the same. I'm just saying from a personality perspective.
It was the lead item on the 6 o'clock news as well.
Capturing culture. Yeah. Jurgen Klopp is the Premier League. And it's weird for Liverpool fans to think this because, we don't buy into being part of the Premier League. We're so unique and Liverpool and blah, 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 all that stuff. But he is such a ubiquitous figure of, I don't know, humanity, of joy, whether it's a figure of you make fun of him because you're a twatty football fan, but deep down he has got your interests at heart when he's complaining. All of the things he complains about end up being the right decision, and the football authorities change rules to vindicate his position after mocking him publicly. Like, he has this weird level of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not respect, but it's something like respect is begrudging respect from everybody.
Well, I think it's universal. He's a leader. He's a leader, and he's a leader in so many different ways as well.
I think it's very similar. Genuinely, I think it's very similar to Kenny. Mm-hmm. People understood, like grown-ups treated when Kenny Dalglish.
Yeah, but he's more charismatic than Kenny ever was.
So he dominates the media in a way that Kenny didn't. But grown-ups had this weird affection for Kenny that I didn't understand when I was a kid. And it just turns out, like, apart from he was one of the world's best players for all of them, whether they liked him or not, they knew this. So they had this respect for him, but also they knew what he went through at through Hillsborough and Heysel, but through Hillsborough, and they understood why he was broken. Like as an adult, I completely feel and understand why Klopp is, and everybody else does. Everybody does. Deep down, they understand how hard it is to be, how intense it is to be a Liverpool manager, and also to be the figurehead of the Premier League in the way that it is.
So, where we are on day +4, how are you feeling about it now? Are you more considered about it now, looking forward, or planning for the, see where everything about, are you worried about the future? Are you relaxed?
I think I'm the opposite of. I just tend to be. I was saying this. I had to take my daughter back to uni, and we're chatting about it in the car. I care the least about of anybody I know about who's next. It's not even something that entering the brain. The whole Chabby thing, that's exciting, but
you're about right now. Yeah. How do we win 4 trophies this season? Basically,
that's the only thing I care about.
Yeah. Okay.
And I actually think it improves our chances.
I agree with you on that one. I do. Yeah. Hamzah, obviously different take for you. Can we come to you as a fan right first before we talk as a professional, as a fan? What was your immediate reaction, and what's your current state of affairs?
Yeah, well, as Si mentioned, he sent the message on the group chat first, and it was around a half second before I think the rest of Liverpool and the rest of the country got their Paul Joyce Twitter alert, because I saw the message come in. My immediate reaction was someone's broken a leg or something really bad has happened. Yeah. And instead it was, it was worse, wasn't it? Yeah. You get the tweet alert straight away, and then it's just sort of hits you. And I was in Bournemouth because I did the Bournemouth match on Thursday night, so I had the sort of indignity of trying to get to the train station and watch the match on terrible. Watch the video on terrible Wi-Fi. And every time
the train station,
it was just kept pausing and buffering, and I just sort of sat there, just sort of quite numb. This is my first sort of experience of something like this. I'm not old enough to remember Shankly or Paisley or Kenny when they.
Well, me and Si aren't old enough to remember Shankly, so to give us some credit.
But the odd people that remembered that, little parallels that were drawn, that same as actually Shankly deciding to call it a day. And again, with Klopp, just given even before he gave the explanation, just the amount of trust and respect that he's built up over the time meant that there was a sort of, it felt like there was an acceptance among the fan base where it just went, okay, you've earned absolutely the right to call it, and we will respect it. Of course, if you want to sort of U-turn, great, but as in we completely respect and support it. And I think that's just a testament to the relationship he's built. And there's a piece in Johnny Northcroft's piece about Klopp in the Sunday paper. There's a line there about how a particular fan during the match against Manchester United was having a go at Klopp, right, like a row behind Klopp's wife, and it sort of just made my blood boil. What sort of person would be shouting criticism? Of course, it's the heat of battle. You're a fan, you pay to go, but that sort of thing grates, and it makes you think that there are people there that didn't quite appreciate what he's brought to the club, and it just means that, for me at least, the emphasis now is just making sure I appreciate as much as I can of all the remaining matches, watch as many as I can, go to as many as I can, try and say thank you if I can, and I think that as a fan, that really should be the sort of focus here, as in go to the match and just make sure you absorb and enjoy every single moment left of this. Yeah. It's special. I had the exact same feeling during the 18-19 season where Liverpool were going for the Champions League and the Premier League. And I thought to myself during it, we'll never have it this good again. Make sure you just go to all the games, enjoy them. And then somehow we did have it that good again, because the following season, Liverpool just stormed the league and it was incredible. And then in that season again, I went, ooh, this is really, really special. I don't think we'll see this again. Just enjoy it for what it is. Then we had a lull season, and I thought, okay, I've made sure to enjoy what I could. I went to as many matches as I could. I saw it, I absorbed it. I can tell people I was there. I can recall it. I enjoyed it. And then there was a quadruple charge. And now there's one more opportunity for something really special to happen again.
Yeah.
So again, from my experience in those seasons, I absolutely encourage as many fans as possible just to not worry too much about the replacement or whatever. Just go in there, sing your heart out for every minute that you're there, and enjoy it because these are special moments that you won't get back. It's just really sort of sad, really. I saw another colleague of mine today, Alison, who's a Liverpool fan as well, and she was worrying. She said, "Surely it's a hoax." I wish it was a hoax, but yeah, no. I think with time, it will sink in properly. I still think a lot of people are still processing.
Yeah.
But yeah. Not the nicest feeling, but now it means it's the opportunity to celebrate and support to the fullest extent, and that's what has support.
Well, we saw what that was like with the Bobby Firmino farewell tour. It's just going to be that times 10 this time, isn't it? Times 100. So yeah, I think he has done the right thing to do it this way and allow the rest of the season to be in that way a celebration.
I would add as well that there is a general sort of the pressures of the Premier League are quite unique. You've got the fixtures, the media duties for the manager. You've got the lack of rest. I remember speaking to Gary O'Neill not too long ago, just after the Chelsea-Everton match. Sorry, Chelsea-Wolves match. And that was Christmas Eve. And he mentioned that he wouldn't spend much time with his family on Christmas. So these are all things that players have to do. And it's not very nice. And managers have to do it as well. Get paid a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. But it's quite intense, especially for someone like Klopp, who's been at the top level for 20. I know he had his little break, but he came off his break. But he's been as a manager for like 20 years, top level. And then you add in
25.
unique situation that's Liverpool, where you're not just a manager of the club, you're a spokesperson for the club and its people, and all of that pressure, and you think about the emotional toll that certain seasons may have had. If you take the 2020 season.
When his dad died during COVID.
That particular, right, he wasn't able to go home, and that sort of stress can really sort of weigh heavy. And then you've got the Champions League final with all the stuff in Paris, and then from a sporting perspective, you have the emotional weight and pain of, for example, 97 points and not winning the league, or 93 points and not winning the league, or 2 Champions League final defeats. All of these are quite heavy emotional things, and combine that with the unique situation that's Liverpool and all the other things that I've mentioned, and you can see that that sort of stuff can take its toll. The top job at Liverpool is almost uniquely intense. It's a tough job, and it takes its toll. But for now, we've just got to celebrate what we can.
Oh, very nice one. What do I think? I mean, I'd done most of my worrying in the run-up to 2 years ago, because I thought there was absolutely no chance he would renew, and he'd be leaving in summer of 2022. And so, in many ways, I kind of this season has been a bonus, because I didn't even think he was going to be here. I'd prepared myself for him going back then. So yeah, and so that respect, I haven't had that much grief to process this time. The only regret I've got is that once he did extend, is that I know he's 56 and he had that great quote. He says, "I can't do this job on 3 wheels." I mean, such a classic Jurgenism to paraphrase and get his point across. But the way things have gone, with Edwards going, with Graham going, with Ward going, and with him assuming more and more and more responsibility and effectively becoming general manager, that is, he's taken on extra burden. He's taken on extra responsibility and extra work, when at his age, 56, we should be seeking to reduce his workload so he can focus on what he's best at. And that's the one thing that I really it grates a little bit with me, is that, once he did renew, maybe we could have got the full contract term out of him if if he'd been allowed to have more downtime so he could just focus on what's what. But that's the whole club structure nonsense stuff as well. So, I mean, a lot of people don't want to talk about that. But yeah, it does. Yeah. So, but I'm very much with you boys now. We've just got to focus now on, and because the biggest thing about the win in the league in 2019 was we never got to do the parade because of COVID, and we never got to. And then the next season after we didn't. And by the time we won the cup double, it was too long. Too long had passed to really celebrate like it was the league campaign, for the league title triumph, and then to have that big party, if that's what he really missed. That we never got the chance to really celebrate winning the league again, and I really hope that we can get one of the big two. Well, it's not even the Champions League though, is it? It's the Europa, but you know what I mean. So we need to have that send off.
I agree, but to be fair, I don't know if it'll be any different send off if we win the league and the Champions League than if we win the Mickey Mouse Cup, because at this point
it'll just be a party anyway.
Fans will treat it exactly the same.
Yeah, it's just true, actually. Yeah, right.
The difference will just be other fans' perceptions of it. That's all.
Yeah.
A fraction of a raindrop, 3 grains of salt. At up to 100 times more potent than morphine, the tiniest amount of illegal fentanyl is all it takes to cause an overdose. Fentanyl can be mixed into heroin, cocaine, pressed pills, meth, and other drugs. It could be in your drugs, and you wouldn't be able to see it, taste it, or smell it. Learn more at cdc.gov/stop-overdose.
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
Yeah. And somebody said, my missus asked me, and she said, what do you think you'll do? I said, I don't think I'll take another full-time job again. You'll probably take an international, you'll probably take a year off. And
Doesn't it align with Germany?
Yeah, next time Germany and the manager coming up, I said, it's like a part-time job. You go part-time because you'll be 57, 58. Perfect. And I said to her, if you go to Germany, is that literally you're lucky if there's an ad break that goes by when you're watching commercial TV and there's not a Jurgen Klopp sponsored product on the TV. Is there's that many ads running Jurgen Klopp products, sponsored, endorsed products? It's crazy. So anyway, I think it's inevitable, isn't it, Si? Deal.
Yeah, I'd have thought so.
Go to semi-retirement.
I'd say that, but Pep Guardiola was convinced differently, and I think when it comes to an elite level of manager, an elite player, often they just have that hunger and that itch, even after just a bit of time away, that they have to come back and they have to compete at the top level. Maybe you will, but not in the Premier League. But
yeah,
I've got a feeling we might still see some more of it.
Maybe, yeah.
I think international management is like highly competitive. I think I think from the outside, what people think you miss as a football professional player or manager is some kind of daily competition. When you actually miss the day-to-day hanging out with your mates. If you can get around the hanging out with your mates bit, that the competitive juices get flowing plenty in international competitions. I'm sure you can easily age into international competitions without, and it's a piece of piss. If it's about energy and effort, God, it's so easy.
I think he's the type, actually, Hamzah. I think he'll have a very long and very fulfilling and happy retirement. And I think we'll see photos of Jurgen in 10 years' time looking rather larger than he is today. But
a
he'll be
well-rounded human.
absolutely, he'll be absolutely happy with it. So yeah. Anyway, should we talk about some football? We have to talk about two more matches. We're going to talk very briefly about the Fulham game. So Hamzah, this was a tricky match because we were up from the first leg. It was it's a very difficult match to analyse because the only thing that mattered was qualifying and going through, wasn't it? And after we took a lead after 11 minutes, it was a bit of a weird game.
Yeah, there wasn't. Even the first half, there really wasn't too much going on. I mean,
a little bit soporific, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Liverpool had 5 shots, Fulham had 3 in the first half. That is, and Liverpool had 2.2 xG. Fulham had 0.17, and
so that's almost the same as the Bournemouth match. Literally nothing happened.
Yeah, it was quite dry. The long spells with sustained spells of possession, but not like overwhelming amounts. The goal came fairly early. Diaz had a double deflection, so a little bit of luck to it. It's the goal itself.
Can we talk about the best bit of that goal, though? The way he won the ball out on the wing, on the aerial duel. Was it over Robinson?
Yes, it was. I think.
That was really dominant play. That was really, because it was a long high ball into him and he took it down. He leapt, and I think he chested it past him, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
But he just drove past the fullback. Really strong play, and then directly beeline for goal inside the box.
Yeah, I think we mentioned a few weeks ago Diaz may be looking a bit sharper. Well, I thought he was a few weeks ago at least. He's still not at that level where we need him to be, and he's not quite at the level where he was before. But there's some promising signs there, I think, and we'll just need to see more of it. But yeah, it was good run inside, took the shot, deflection, goal. In terms of the team itself, I probably should just run through this. Bradley was at right back, Quansah at centre back, Van Dijk and Gomez at centre back and left back. Another solid performance from Gomez playing on the inside. Kelleher in goal because this is his competition. Elliott, McAllister, Grav in midfield. Then Gakpo, Núñez, Diaz. But yeah, because of the 2-1 lead, and it was a semi-strong team, and the early goal, it really didn't have much of a sort of...
Fulham, I think it's fair to say that Fulham's approach was a little bit disappointing because they had to really turn this match around anyway. I thought they were quite timid, really, in there. They didn't really go at us very hard, did they?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the on bottom of the match momentum or like the XT flow charts,
Fulham don't have any.
Yeah, as in it was quite a sort of middle-ish game. There wasn't too much going on, I don't think, and it's hard to analyse not just because of that, but because with a rotated team and a cup match, there's a few things going on, and that early goal also meant that you can't really read too much into the tactics. Sorry to sort of put a massive down on this.
It's fine. It was a fixture that had to be fulfilled. I think there's very little more. I think this match definitely put the exclamation point on the or a full stop on the João Palhinha rumours. Right, these 2 games. I've watched them, and have you seen anything that you think makes you stand out that he'd be a number 6 for a top side?
I mean, I think we discussed this before, right? I mean, he tackles really well, but you want a bit more from that, and he's 28, so you're probably not going to get much more from that. If you can compare him to McAllister, it's night and day, just the in possession work. The value that McAllister adds in possession is significantly more than Palhinha. Palhinha, stylistically, it's like he's, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but as in 10 years ago, in a normal sort of double pivot structure in a 4-2-3-1, you usually have one player that breaks up the play and one that sits alongside that's a bit more creative. Yeah, but like, Liverpool don't play with a 4-2-3-1. They don't like to divvy up those responsibilities in such a sort of clear way because all the midfield 4 are meant to do that sort of stuff now. I don't think he's really sort of suitable for Liverpool. He's a good, really good tackler and really good at winning the ball and physical and strong, but he doesn't offer much in possession beyond that. And I'm still a bit surprised that Bayern were in for him, but Bayern went for Eric Dyer. So
I don't think they'll be in from now. Tuchel might be leaving at the end of the season. I think he's very much a Tuchel pursued target. But there you go. Their match stats were 51% possession for us. Both teams had an XG of less than 1. Doesn't happen very often in Liverpool games. We had 0.78. Fulham had 0.86. We didn't have a single big chance. Fulham had 2. We scored 1, missed 1. And the other thing I just wanted to mention briefly, Hamzah, was there was a very... Do you remember the Pereira shot that hit the post? That came from a very odd... this is one of the things that grinds my gears as a nerd every now and again. When you know what Opta do, Opta have to code and record the matches. There was a challenge between Kelleher and Adarabioyo, and basically Kelleher gets nowhere near the ball, and then Adarabioyo wins it, and then it directly leads to the Pereira shot onto the post from a narrow angle. Yeah. And you're thinking, well, for all the words and sentences, that's an error. That should be a defensive error by the keeper. It should show in the Opta stats as a defensive error. But for some reason, Opta have just coded this as an aerial duel between Adarabioyo and Kelleher, and an aerial duel lost for Kelleher, and that's it. Because I was thinking that when a keeper makes that kind of mistake, rushes out, doesn't get there, that he's basically left an open goal, hasn't he, Hamzah? And we're lucky not to have conceded, really, at that point.
It was a tight angle, to be fair. I'm not saying Pereira definitely should score, because the ball bounces up and it's a tight angle, so it's a little bit tough. But yeah, no, I agree. Would that potentially be coded as... Could that potentially be coded as an error and an aerial duel loss?
Yeah, absolutely. It just makes me wonder if because it was the League Cup where the Opta had their junior analysts out or something. But anyway, it's the kind of inconsistency that bugs me, because we want consistent data to work from.
As in they usually. How many versions of the match starts to send out? 3, I think.
Yeah, it can be up to 3 versions of the mail, but it hasn't showed. It didn't show at the time, and they've kept it the same since. So, but just a little thing that annoyed me. And I think on Fulham, Adarabioyo, he looks like a very interesting player. Actually, he's definitely one to out of contract at the end of this year, I believe. Hamzah.
He's one that Marcus Silva talks about quite a lot. He's very pleased with the way that he's developed. He's strong, he's quick, good in the air. I mean, he's massive as well, and he shows a good appreciation for defending sort of space as well.
Free contract is interesting. I mean, it's the kind of thing that you'd think that would be he's a homegrown player. He should at least be on the shortlist for the Joel Matip replacements, right? I think.
I haven't given too much thought to the centre-back situation yet, but I'm just going to check his age very quickly.
He's 26.
He's 26.
I should also point out, producer Guy said it wasn't Robinson, it was Castagna that Diaz got in front of for the goal.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, I will need to watch a little bit more of Tosin specifically, but how does he fare on a? I
think it'd be one for the committee pods anyway. Let's see if he makes the shortlist for us on that one. And then the only postscript, I guess, is that we do concede. We're slightly nervy finish after the goal, but we hang on. Some interesting subs by Jurgen. Not often we switch to a back 3. Bring on the third centre back. That's something we used to see a lot in the Champions League campaigns when we're trying to see out knockout matches and stuff. Hamzah.
Yeah, Diop gets a goal. I think
double deflection.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of luck there, but
this guy tried to dress it up as a great finish, which was quite hilarious. Continually talking up the quality of the finish when it was just a massive deflection.
Bradley sort of gets done on the inside by Harry Wilson, who cuts in nicely. And then there's a bit of space to cover. Van Dijk comes, Quansah comes, but doesn't quite get all the way. There's a deflection.
We're going to give Conor Bradley a lot of praise on this podcast, but that was one moment where he really did overcommit and dive in. That was like a 30-70, not even a 50, no, not even close to 50 feet, and he was just done, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I'd add too much there, just on sort of technical analysis. It was just a chop inside, and he's overcommitted because he got the speed of it too quick. But yeah, and then after that, yeah, made the changes. But honestly, I don't have too much more to add on this match.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I think they had a couple of pot shots and that's it, but we rode it out. But I think so we can bring Si in now, because I obviously didn't see the Fulham game, so we've just let him go on mute for 15 minutes while we discuss it. I guess the thing everybody wants to talk about, Si, related to this whole period, not just the Fulham match, but then leading into the Norwich match, is the continued availability and use of Ibrahim Konate and Joe Gomez. And obviously we can say this is how much is good planning and how much is luck and all this kind of stuff. But what are your thoughts on this? Because it's the team has been playing really well, and they've pretty much played most games in this incredibly intense period since the last international break.
They have. I think this is very much both of those things. I'm very happy that one of them has occurred, but it doesn't mean good process alone. That very much you need some luck. Because of injuries to other players, that we've needed to stick a finger in the plug socket and hope not to get shocked. And it's paid off, though. So we undoubtedly had lots of luck, but there's very much a change in strategy. And if you look at their usage over the course of the season, so let's just go through the way we started with our, say, 5 centre backs. With Quansah. Quansah's been used way more than we expected to. But so you've got Virgil, who was garbage last season, but is number 1 centre back and was always going to be the first choice centre back, hoping that he was going to peak into form after his injuries, of which we've talked about on this and Fatigue Index, where long-term injuries take. There's a lot of research that shows long-term injuries take at least the time out to recover back to peak form. That makes sense. So if you're out for 10 months, you're going to be 10 months after you return before you actually get back to form. And that kind of is bared out, is evidenced by both the return of Virgil and by Joe. So, but going to these, all right, if you look at Gomez, Ibu, Virgil, Matip as our senior centre-backs, we have Ibu has played 13 full games this season. So we've currently played 34 games. Ibu's played 13 full games. Gomez has played 15 full games. Matip has played 9 full games, but when he got injured, it was 9 each. And now Quansah has played 12 full games. But on top of that, they have this equal share of substitution appearances. So Virgil's played 21 full games, but he's only been involved as a sub twice, on or off. Gomez has been on or off 15 times. Ibu's on or off 12 times. Matip was on or off 7 times. We're utilising the 5 subs better than anybody else. I think we have 112 more changes than anybody else in the league. And our centre-back usage is very much part of that. We're exchanging those lads, giving them minutes here, minutes there, making sure as much as we can that we've got. Quansah's been a midweek centre-back for a while.
Yes.
Through the rotation, Ibu was a midweek centre-back. And then over the course of Christmas, he ended up flipping to be the weekend centre-back. And then even recently, he's become twice a week. But that's fresh and new for Ibu. He's done it this season. He started and finished a game at the weekend and game midweek only last week for the first time.
Yeah, didn't I see you tweet something about Joe Gomez? This is the first time he's ever played 7 matches in a row.
Yeah, this is the first time he's played 7 matches in a row without being injured since 2020.
Incredible.
So a lot of that is down to he doesn't get picked for 7 matches, but and his form has been in. But when he's played 7 matches, he's been injured on the 7th match 4 times.
Yeah, that's exactly what used to happen to Lovren.
5. Lovren was 5.
Yeah,
but yeah, the bodies have a tolerance to stress, and the structure of the working week in the microcycle of the working week built into the macrocycle of the working 3 weeks. It has tolerances that bodies can sustain, and those that it can't. That over the course of his Liverpool career up to this point, let me scroll down. Sorry if I'm a bit slow, because I usually use a trackpad, like a magic pad on my Mac, but somehow it's not working, so I've got a fucking mouse. It's really annoying. There we go. Yeah, his tolerance to chronic load, which is your 3-week rolling average of a week. So if you have 90 minutes a week for 3 weeks, your chronic average is 90. If you have 90, 150, and then 90, it goes up to 125. So it's the average per week over that 3 weeks divided by 3. And his whenever Joe Gomez's average hits 121 minutes, he gets injured.
Okay. Has he been above that this season?
He is currently at 103. He's been above it twice this season, and he's been above it for 5 weeks. So
wow,
this is about as robust as he's got. It should be when your body is peaking from a level of regeneration and robust.
Well, he is 26. He's not developing anymore.
This is peak physiology right
now.
Yeah. So his career numbers are his highest ever workload. Can you any ideas of what the most minutes he's played in a season? So 3,400 minutes are a full Premier League season without any other game,
including internationals.
No, yeah, all minutes in a season.
So what's Gomez's max? His career max? I'm going to go for 3,000.
Hamzah.
I'll go a bit less, 2.5.
Hi everyone. This month the channel is supporting a local charity based in Edinburgh called Steps to Hope. Steps to Hope helps support people who are experiencing homelessness and addiction. The founder of the charity, Richard Roncero, is currently doing a Sleep Rough campaign where he is sleeping rough on the streets in 8 different cities for 8 weeks. Please like, share and follow the Facebook page, and if you can, donate. Thank you.
So is that because we're having this conversation, or what do you think of just a typical footballer should be? Because he had one peak season, the season that I did mention, and it was 3,350 minutes, which is still below 38 games.
Yeah. So just come back to something you said there, Si, you said it was really interesting. So you're saying that they almost like they're doing smaller chunks more often rather than bigger chunks, yeah? And
deliberate chunks. They're not having sporadic, here's 2 games, no game for the next week, here's a game, no games for the next 2 weeks. It's really specific.
And plus, like you said, I think it was on the post-Christmas pod, we basically binned off any kind of physiological training, what's the word I don't know, so cardio training in training sessions. We are just using training as recovery. Everything is only
recovery and tactical work.
Yeah. So everything is only on the pitch. So that's the other change that's been made as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really interesting. So you definitely think there's some good strategy and some good planning going in there, as well as some luck. Now, don't take offence, Si. Right? We've also had some good discussion, good mature discussion in the UP group on Discord, and we've actually had what I would call as a challenge to the veracity of the fatigue index method. And it's not just your method; it's the method. It's a standard industry practice for sports scientists about the chronic and acute load, and then how you project what's players can do based on past performance, which is their their career average and their median. Now, in the case of Joe Gomez, he hasn't had in his career many muscular injuries. He has had, on the other hand, 5 major surgeries. So when your minutes in your career, what you've done is low because of surgeries, does that make any difference at all to the method of your fatigue index?
No, none.
And can you explain why?
Well, because people are reading 2 different methodologies into one, basically. Okay. So fatigue index is the acute chronic workload relationship.
Yeah.
Right. It's not about how many minutes they played on average over the previous 5 years of their career. It's irrelevant. Like, that's literally what I use to predict, best practice, basically. So the research would show that 30% increase year on year is as much as you should go. Otherwise, there's likelihood to cause the increase in injury occurrence goes up exponentially once you spike more than 30% year on year increase. Yeah. So that's a different thing.
Particularly things like stress fractures and things like that.
Sure, just anything. But yeah, it happens all the time. Like, so hip or hamstring will go. That particularly, and that's exacerbated by doing it before the age of 23, when there's still growth going on. Basically, the thing that is being challenged is the revisionist look at previous performance. So that tells me 2 things. One, a person's ability to do that without being injured.
Yeah.
So it's not. So they've got an absence of injury that I need to see.
They're churning out 4K minute seasons consistently.
Yeah, you need to prove that you can do it before you play at the top level, and you're bought in to do that. Otherwise, it's the same, because it's really, really hard to do that. Yeah. And the lack thereof as a 26-year-old, it's statistically very unlikely that you have your greatest year from a playing time perspective beyond 25 in such a significant way that we're projected to this year for Joe Gomez. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because he's only ever done 3,000-minute seasons.
Yeah.
Like, suddenly his body now having the capacity to do a 4,500-minute season, that makes no sense. It's so unlikely to occur. It's like you deadlift your whole life, you train all the time, and you can deadlift 120 kilos, but fuck it, we'll do 200. And you could just do it. It makes no sense that you can do it because you've never built the capacity to do it.
Yeah.
It's a physiological capacity that you've trained. It's like having a VO2 max of 48 and then expect there's a correlation between your fitness and your ability to run a marathon. And if you don't have a VO2 max of 64 and above, you're not getting to 2.5 hour marathons. It's not physically possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that kind of answer the questions?
I think so. Just on Gomez as well. He's got 1,900 minutes now for Liverpool this season, and it's end of January. One big change, obviously.
He's at 21:33.
By including all substitutes, and all that injury times and stuff like that.
All minutes, yeah. All minutes.
Yeah, but one big change is no England minutes.
Yet.
Yet.
So now he gets a look. He's going to get called up, and
I was going to ask you.
Going to get dallied. Going to get dangled in front of him.
I was going to ask you.
Suggest it.
I was going to ask you if the consistency of training has also helped. He hasn't had to go off and do England training with different patterns and all that. Has that repeatable approach from Liverpool also paid off to this? Possibly 100%. Contributing to this.
And it's a single thought process behind his training. It's a single methodology. It's not about what you're doing. It's about how intensely they're doing it and the purpose of the outcome. So the reason they're setting up training this way is for a specific purpose that suits Liverpool. If I'm setting up training this way so I can, I'm not, okay, I won't say that because I'll insult some people I know well, that it will, if the purpose is to have the most intense training session on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of a week of international game that starts on Saturday, and then they have another one on the following Tuesday, And they're using it like it's a free week in between, like one game a week. So they had a game on Saturday and Liverpool would have a game on Saturday, and then you would have 3 days of hard training during that week. But England have 2 games in 3 days, ostensibly. But they don't plan for what happens after that because that's irrelevant. All they're doing is training as hard as they possibly can for those 3 days. That's not conducive to Liverpool's marathon season.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. So just hope that after all this discussion and praise that
Ibu's going to France.
No, Joe Gomez gets injured against Chelsea or Arsenal. I mean, anyway, touch wood.
Gomez in 2 weeks, so it doesn't greatly concern me. We will need Ibu.
Yeah.
Ibu's way more fragile historically than Joe Gomez.
With muscular.
And he has, just in that he doesn't play very many minutes ever.
Yeah. Hamzah, any questions for Si? Any Joe Gomez questions or sports science questions on this before we move on?
Just one question in that. At least one of Gomez's injuries has been quite unlucky. I think the leg break, right? So if you have a leg break, that's not necessarily your body breaking down. That's you being subjected to a sort of moment of stress that's sort of external, right?
Yeah.
So could Gomez have had a capacity to achieve more minutes in that season where he had the leg break, but didn't achieve it because of a leg break? And so we're seeing something that could have previously existed that he had a capacity for, but we just don't know because of a very specific injury rather than one where his body broke down because of the stress of so many minutes in a particular season.
I completely understand what you're saying, but the semantics of words here. So it's not about did he have the capacity to? He didn't develop the capacity to. It's like you're looking at, the capacity occurs absent of the matches. The matches are what build the capacity. So he never did those matches. So he never developed that capacity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you sounded like a scientist, Si.
Sorry.
All right. It's good. You bring some authority. It's good. It's every day's a school day on this pod.
And just the last thing on this, because I totally understand how people think about this. He's not Lallana. He didn't have 34 soft tissue hip flexor injuries. So from tiredness? So why is that likely to happen in the future? Right. So if either of you broken a leg or an ankle or a wrist,
I've broken my humerus. Completely broke my humerus.
Jesus Christ!
In two. When I was in the ambulance, my arm was swinging, completely free swinging with gravity as I was going around corners in the back of the ambulance.
How's your shoulder?
Fine. It's all good now.
Okay, so
I met loads of girls when I had my cast on. It was great.
Wow. Humerus is brutal, but it's probably the big bone that doesn't fill my story very well. So if you sprain an ankle, if you break an ankle or a tib, if you get your tib fib broken, your shin bones or whatever, right? That doesn't immediately mean that you're likely to pull a hamstring. What it does do, it creates movement irregularities and then movement inefficiencies, which could then lead to a breaking down of the movement chain, which is a series of pulleys, springs, and levers, which are muscles and bones. And you will have created very nicely working mechanics to make up for weaknesses down one side caused by the bone injury. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so you'll get overuses in some places, you'll get underuses in another, and then at some point those inefficiencies will break. So just because you didn't have a hamstring injury, you having one big previous injury is very likely to cause more small injuries to soft tissue in the longer term.
And Gomez has had a few of those, right? Isn't it like quite significant ones? He had the
ACL, a couple of really bad ones.
Yeah, five surgeries.
There's a patella tendon, which is probably the most serious knee injury you can have, and then also the Achilles, right, as well. So these are three core areas that have a cascading effect. Right?
And he's had a couple of ankle operations as well. So,
but all soft tissue injuries as well, by the way.
oh, okay, there you go. Maybe that's a misconception. Is it because
soft tissue?
Okay, so tendons injuries are counted as soft tissue. Okay, tick. There's a very now. If there's one thing everybody can take away from this pod, right, that is a really easy one to remember. Say,
there you go.
Tendons also soft tissue. Yeah.
Is there a larger number of soft tissue injuries this season, Simon? Just
the hamstring injuries have gone up 24%.
But aren't we mid-table? Aren't we mid-table in the Premier League for injury level?
We're 13th for injury occurrences for games, for minutes missed, basically. We're 13th in the table. And if you actually look at the performance output, so it's very much been linked to, I'm not sure if this is the reason for, but it's been linked to the increase in high-speed running. So there's been an increase in high-speed running every season. Across the league, the league average has gone up every season for the last 6, I think.
Games are 10% longer anyway.
Yeah, games are longer, which I kind of pointed that out. So I'm not entirely sure how much more intense they are. There's just more of it, and sprint distance aren't up, just high speed. So anything above 7.2 meters per second is a sprint distance. So it's a chasing back without sprinting. So it's not the highest physiological demand, but the length of game. So hamstring injuries tend to occur in the final 10 minutes of a game and the final 5 minutes of the first half and the final 10 minutes of the game, because of fatigue. Now that's longer, so that increases the likelihood or the opportunity for fatigue injuries to occur. But yeah, so it's linked to those two things, the extra high speed running and the extra time on a pitch, but Liverpool's on and Liverpool's haven't gone up. At the same time as Liverpool's high speed running and sprints have gone back up to where they were previous to last season, where they were crap.
Last one, before we move on to Norwich. The single biggest contributor to us being 13th in the injury table, I have to. You've got all of our hopes up 2 pods ago, Si, talking about Thiago's imminent return, and here we are. What can you give us the actual situation, please, with Thiago Alcantara?
I think Thiago's training.
Okay, saving him for Chelsea. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. So here's what I think they'll be doing is that they'll be building him up. So they want to see. My guess is they want to see 2 sustained weeks of full training before they start to dunk him back into game time, because game time is uncontrolled.
Yeah,
and training is a more controlled environment. So you go through closed skills, closed energy system development, through open, which will be let's say it's almost like five-a-side. So it'll be set up around constraints led small-sided games. So you're limiting high-speed distances because the pitch isn't big enough to break into high speed, which takes 20 meters. So it'll be small-sided games where you're building up the capacity to turn, stop, and accelerate, and a general energy capacity. And then it gets onto a bigger pitch. Then you go on full-size pitches, which are still controlled you're stopping people clubbing him, that kind of stuff. And you want him to be able to demonstrate a couple of weeks of that after being out for ostensibly a year.
Yeah.
Before you subject him to the most chaotic environment of matches.
Yeah, nice one. Right, thank you, Si. Every day's a school day, as I said on this pod, that's for sure.
It's good that I get to contribute because I have no idea what went on in the matches.
That's what you get when you have to pod after the domestic cups with Si. Right, anyway, Liverpool-Norwich, Hamzah. It was an emotional build-up. It was emotional rendition of "You'll Never Walk Alone." But let's move on from that. The team was interesting.
Gomez retained his place at left back to get that 7th match in a row. Quansah and Konate, so Van Dijk didn't start, and then Conor Bradley started. In midfield, Jones, McConnell, and Gravenberch, so a start for young McConnell. And then Gakpo, Nunez, and Jota as the front 3. A few surprises. I wasn't sure if Jota would play. I thought they might have just given him a bit of a rest. He did have 20 minutes at the end of the Fulham match, I think. And Rav made back-to-back starts as well. And Curtis, who was after the Bournemouth match, during the Bournemouth match, he sort of went down. Klopp said he had a tiny niggle the previous week, but it was nothing. And then he said he only went down because it was he just felt a little bit of discomfort and decided that it was at 3-0 up, there was no need to risk it. Jones got his start again and looked fine. And then Alisson back in goal. So, a strong team, but most interestingly, the bench had a number of players that we...
Oh, that bench. Should we go for that bench? That was really exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah. Should we do it from least to most exciting?
Go on, I'll let you do it.
So there's Kevin on the bench. Then there was actually it feels a bit mean saying because they're young players. I won't do that actually because they're all exciting. There was Szoboszlai, Robertson, Van Dijk, Trent, Diaz, Bobby Clark, Harvey Elliott, and Owen Beck. So in terms of the 5 subs that were actually made were Szoboszlai, Robertson, Van Dijk, Trent, and Diaz, which is about as strong a 5 some you could ever imagine pulling off the bench. Minutes for Szoboszlai, minutes for Robertson, minutes for Trent in the lead up to the Chelsea match and the Arsenal matches that we've got this week.
Almost felt like a City squad.
Can we did we ever find out why James O'Connell got the nod for this one in the start and maybe say Bobby Clark didn't? Were we expecting to Clark? Was it always that McConnell was going to be starting this, Hamzah?
I'm not too sure. I don't have the answer to that. Sorry.
Because I honestly thought Clark was going to be the next cab off the rank in that respect. So,
but McConnell's a 6.
Oh, is he? There's more. Okay. Was Clark's more of a...
Bobby Clark's 10 years ago will be a 10. So he's like a hybrid.
Okay.
He's like Gaza.
Is his dad Lee Clark?
People.
Is his dad Lee Clark?
His dad's Lee Clark. He's just like Lee Clark.
Well, Lee Clark was a box-to-box goal-scoring midfielder. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah,
Lee Clark started out as a 10 as well.
Yeah, and then became an 8. Yeah. Okay. So that's probably why then. But Hamzah, I mean, it didn't take much. It didn't take long to make a contribution to the team. 16 minutes.
Yeah, the lovely pass into Jones for the opener. Really nice one. He is right-footed, but you wouldn't have been able to tell that the way that he cut in onto his left foot and just clipped a really, really nice pass in for Jones, the header. Received it in space, head up. Jones was at the far post, joining the front line. There's actually, you noticed during the match, quite a bit of rotation across the front. Nunez and Jota swapped around quite a bit. Gakpo as well. Gakpo often started wide and then moved infield quite sharply. So then when he did that, just like this situation for the goal, Jones spotted his opportunity to attack the far post. Nunez and Gakpo sort of clustered together in the middle of the box. Drawing attention because they're both tall players, and Curtis Jones, who's also very tall and is an aerial threat, just sort of stooped in and snuck the back.
I think the word we have to use is he ghosted into position at the back post unmarked, didn't he?
I think given ghost has certain connotations. I think Jones is quite different to
yes.
But yeah,
nice one. You can run, but you can't hide from what you said in the past. So, should we talk about the Fulham equaliser? Fulham, Norwich equaliser. The lead was short-lived, and unfortunately, it was a bit of a sloppy set piece, wasn't it? It wasn't. It was a cheap corner to give away for a start, and then a cheap goal.
It was at the front post zone. Gravenberch is in that area. Next to him is Jota, who's at the sort of the same line, depth. Sorry, on the edge of the 6 yard box, and the Norwich player sort of jumps in between from Jota's blind spot and ahead of Gravenberch, who needs to just win that header. And it doesn't, and it comes off the player's back and it goes in. It's not a particularly high XG shot. In fact, I'll tell you, it was a 0. There we go.
0.4?
2.
Yeah.
But it had an XG on target of 0.74 for whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ben Gibson was the player who beat Grav to the punch there. He is a centre half. He's not the biggest centre half we've got in England, but he's got to. If you're going to play for Liverpool and you're going to beat on set pieces, you've got to put your heart and soul into winning that ball there. He just got beat too easy, right?
Yeah, as in just on set pieces though, like when you defend zonally, that can just be one of the that is just one of the difficulties that you face.
Yeah,
coming in,
but he didn't really commit though. He was half turned away, and he didn't really go blood and thunder to try and win that header, did he, in near posts and clear it?
I think that's a fair point, but we're all aware that man marking and zone will have their own sort of benefits and weaknesses. But as in, if someone runs from your blind spot, it just becomes a little bit harder. But yeah, you should hit header.
And it wouldn't be the first time. I mean, a new signing, we really criticised Cody and Darwin last season for their contribution on defensive set plays. It was poor, so it is going to take some speed. But you think he's 1 metre 90 and 78 kilos according to that. So he should be a threat. He should be a presence in the air.
I think, as I mentioned before, I think he just needs sometimes that bit of a provocation to sort of throw his weight around. He's still quite a young player, so sometimes you just notice with certain players that they don't fancy sort of keeping their elbows high and sort of using their hips in particular to shield the ball. They're just a little bit sort of reluctant to do that. When he does that, I think he'll be a lot more effective and a lot more dangerous. But I think otherwise, though, it was a solid performance from him, and he was
yeah,
fine.
Absolutely. It was a. I mean, both of these games. I mean, the Fulham match, he is one of our better players as well. So, to be fair, Si, have you seen the Fulham, the Norwich set piece goal?
Yeah, I've seen it all. I think you're being harsh. I think the world was a bit harsh to Grav. Grav was near post. This was right in Jota's slot. He should have just headed it away. He's the front screen, and he didn't screen.
Yeah.
So 100%, this was Jota's head. He would have been the one that got called out for it at halftime. But I get there was an opportunity for. So one of them, it was his responsibility, and another one there was the opportunity to clear it if he'd have jumped and fought and headed it and made it hard. But definitely Jota's responsibility. And Grav, you talk about Grav's stature. It's an age-old discussion of football performance teams of where like he's like 6'3". He shouldn't be 78 kilos. 78 kilos at 6'3" will get blown over by wind.
So like Gakpo last season.
They need to be lifting more. They need to be heavier. But like there's a mindset within football of weighing up metabolic cost of being heavier and getting around a pitch against strength. And I think they're wrong. And I think Grav's.
I love it. I love you got a sports scientists fight. Yeah, I love that. It's cool. Yeah, excellent. Now, one player we do need to talk about is Conor Bradley,
who's a beast.
Yeah. So, do you want to? You posted some brilliant stuff from Marty Loughran in our pressure. Do you want to give everybody a précis of what the Conor Bradley loving?
So basically, there's loads of on the talk online. Oh, when he fills out, when he gets heavier and stronger. This kid is an absolute beast. He is one of the strongest lads in the team. He just looks wiry. He is like up a mountain lifting sheep over locks kind of strength. Old world like farmer stuff.
Are you trying to say just it's like Game of Thrones because it's like Northern Ireland? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. He is a dual sport
Drogo,
kid.
is it?
Yeah, he's a dual sport kid that represented basically nationally at two sports, and we have his physiological testing data from.
Was it hurling?
And he's a monster. GAA. So the other kind, the one without a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's he's a physical monster.
And he's been this way since for a number of years, yeah?
Yes. So they go back to his testing at 15 all the way through to 20 now. And I wasn't surprised to see him keep going and going and going at this ultra speed. I think was it the Fulham game that he recovered the ball on the halfway line and created the goal? Was it last week anyway? It was within the last 3 games, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For Darwin, played 1-2. I don't know.
That was this game.
That was this game. Was
it?
Yeah.
There you go. I'm old. So he. It's just like this incredible effort that he has, that this kid can run for days, and I just didn't know how good a footballer he was. I'd heard people speak very, very highly within the game, but I hear that a lot, and I'm just very impressed. And I'm waiting to see a circumstance that he picks the wrong choice.
So yeah, exactly. You missed the best bit.
Good solutions all the time.
You missed the best bit of Marty's quote off. Because Marty's from Ulster, right? He's an Ulsterman as well, right? And he said if he wasn't playing for Liverpool, he'd be playing Gaelic for Tyrone, right?
Yeah.
He's from the mountains. His club are famous for shithousery, dirtiness, and being the hardest motherfuckers in the league. They just run through brick walls. It's in their DNA. There you go.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own Two-Footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin DeVries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's from Marty, who's the head of performance for Tyrone.
Is he? Is that where he is now?
That's one of his jobs, yeah.
Wow, there you go. But yeah, like you said, it's not just the physical capacity side and the way he likes a 40-60, should we say. It's the talent on the ball and the decision-making, the attacking contributions he's making as well.
Yeah, he's got big balls. He wants to make he wants the big moment. He wants to pick out that pass and have a shot. And I'm enjoying it tremendously. Yeah.
There was a marvellous clip doing the round on the internet about this goal, and it was from a French commentator. And when Bradley does his bit of trickery and stuff like that, the actual commentator says "ooh la la" in mid commentary, which is just so French but brilliant.
Nice.
But and the one we have to say, right, the best thing we can say about Darwin Núñez is no one's talking about him now, because that's exactly what you want him to do. You want to take the ball, control it, stick it in the back of the net.
Yeah, exactly what he should be doing. His big chance conversion. Do you know what it is now?
He's got scored his last 3.
Yeah, and so he's up to 18%.
Brilliant. But the best thing about it is if he just becomes normal and everybody can stop talking about him.
Exactly.
Yeah, do his job.
But his all-round game looks so much better anyway. So
absolutely
I'm pleased.
Yes, it was good. And shortly after, it was game, set, and match, Hamzah, with another brilliant finish.
Well, it's not Gakpo's finish, is it?
Oh yeah, that was the missed one from Bradley's cutback, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really. Listen, if that was Núñez, he'd be in a lot of trouble. But the next one was Jota's one. Yeah,
Jota.
Forward, from Curtis. Really nice sort of clipped pass, pace on it, a little bit of dip, quite flat, in behind. And the defender that scored for Norwich is the one that couldn't quite deal with it. His name escapes me, but it is Gibson. So yeah, he headers it up, and Jota lets it bounce and just swirls and smashes it with his left foot.
you can see him thinking about when does he go to challenge, does he go to bounce, does he take a touch, and in the end he just does none of those things, and he just larrups it first time, doesn't he, across the keeper?
Yeah, I used to play in goal, and I always used to think there's never a shot that you can't save. That was the thing I'd always tell myself. But when someone smashes it like that, there's not too much you can do from close range. But a good finish. And the good thing was he missed a number of chances later on, which got his conversion rate into sort of a normal in a more normal sort of range. As we mentioned on the last pod, he's overperforming. So when he missed a few shots at the end, that was quite good. Just sort of, if you're going to use your variant.
Well, and on that basis, we should also discuss the Alisson regressing as well, which is great. What a game for Alisson to regress his numbers in and concede his annual goal from outside the box, get it out the way at garbage time in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good strike, and I think it was actually after the Van Dijk header, which is also like from an absurd sort of distance. One thing that Si mentioned in the group chat was often Van Dijk's headers come when the game is sort of settled.
It'd be nice if they were openers, wouldn't it?
Yeah, as in that is that's one thing that Arsenal have had this season. If you take their game against us or the match against Palace recently, their set pieces are often sort of game breaking.
Yeah.
And if you look back to the 1920 season where Liverpool were really good at that is just such a useful tool to open the game up. If you've got all your players that are fast and strong and want to break into playing transition, but you can't because your opponents are sitting back, you score an early set piece and suddenly one of the most tedious, frustrating games becomes one of the most easiest games you could possibly hope to play. And then you can score a second and then it's relaxation time. In terms of high intensity sprints, you can really sort of turn that down because the game is won. Keep the ball nice and easy. 2-0 win, very comfortable. So those lead taking goals from set pieces. If Liverpool are to win any competitions this season, I imagine. Well, if they're going to win the league, those will probably play an important role in it. So Alisson conceded a shot from outside the box.
He gets two goals from 0.13 expected goals. There you go.
I think Trent probably gets something wrong here. Trent is following the guy who wins the ball and takes a shot, and Quansah and Van Dijk are at the back, and it's a 2-on-1 situation. And I think in this situation, Trent should probably just apply ball pressure and let Quansah take care of the player that's in the defensive line, and instead. Trent sort of goes towards a player and then peels off and then tries to move into a right back position. Wasn't a real need to do that. And because of that, just sort of momentary hesitation, Van Dijk hasn't pushed up. So he also should have. And this player gets an opportunity to shoot from outside the box and beats Alisson. Yeah. It's a really good shot, though.
It was a nice goal. Really nice goal. And Si, Conor Bradley rounds it off with his second assist. Marvellous, absolutely marvellous performance from a 21-year-old.
It was great. But also, just Diaz came on for 12 minutes and it was a Diaz-only glorious touch to bring down a crossfield pass.
Yes.
And then he pinged it over to Bradley, who shanked a cross shot into the floor. He did the right thing. And there was Grav to finish the first of the three big chances he'd had in the game.
So, what I wanted to do was because we hadn't.
Darth, can I just jump in to go back to the point about Virgil and his goals?
So you're going to get some Virgil slander in.
Virgil slander or Virgil facts. 21 goals he scored for Liverpool.
Slanderous facts.
21 goals he scored for Liverpool. 6 big goals.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Joel Matip scored 11 goals in total, 9 of which have been result changing.
Wow.
Like, if you just think back, how many of key Matip headers open a game?
Yeah.
I think he got 5 in the league winning season.
I can think of 2 from Virgil in that season: the Man United one and the Brighton game.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were both from first goal, at Anfield in those games.
You know what you were also saying about the Grav is a bit of a pussy.
Yeah. I didn't say that word.
I know.
I was being nice.
I know. But here's me talking up Ibu. And Ibu is not a pussy unless he gets in the opposition's box.
Ah, yeah.
Jesus Christ, go and head a ball.
Yeah.
He's huge. Wouldn't it be nice if he scored an opening corner occasionally?
Yeah, but he did a few actually in the run to the Champions League final. And
he went on a run, didn't he?
Yeah, we went on a run there in that. But that was definitely in Champions League rather than Premier League.
Yeah.
So maybe you can beat up some opposition defences in the Europa for us.
2 in 2 games, 2 openers in 2 games.
Yeah, against Benfica and somebody else. Anyway, right now, did want to talk briefly about, because we've had so many cup games this month, so many games coming thick and fast, lots of absences, Salah away, Endo away, lots of big injuries too, and we've had a lot of young players in the team, and I just want to focus on 4 of them. I'm going to start with the birthday boy. Jarell Quansah, 21 today. Happy birthday, Jarell. And I think it's fair to say, Si, he has exceeded all expectations. He has played pretty consistently to an extremely high level.
Yeah, and I think he is. We've been really, really smart in how we managed him. I talked about him being a midweek player, so he gets to learn partnerships with the midweek team, and bit by bit, he has earned his place with Virgil. He started off with Virgil to get him through, but now he's right there within the rotation. So instead of making a riskier choice to save minutes, now they're just making the appropriate choice.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
You seen anything in the numbers that you like about Quansah?
Nah, mostly he gets the ball. He has lots of touches and lots of passes, but it's because no one bothers to press him, because you can't press everybody. So Ibu and Quansah get all of the possession, and so Ibu's numbers have gone up recently with progressive meters, because he's confidence maybe he's been told to actually at some point you've got to do something with the ball, and Trent's been out. I think that might be another thing as well. So a key component of Ibu playing right centre back is his 4-yard pass to Trent as soon as he gets it. And when Trent's not been there, there's a big gap in front of him, and he's been making better passes. I'm really not sure about Quansah statistically. He looks like I think the best thing you can say about a young defender is, I'm not scared.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel shaky.
No, at all.
And that's all you can ask of a young defender. And he's put in a couple of nice passes, which I promise you, all footballers that are at top level academies can make those passes. I'm not trying to diminish the things that he's doing. That's the level of footballer that is produced by academy players. I'm very happy he's comfortable to do it.
He had a really nice finish in the Europa League when he blammed one in from the middle of the box from a set piece. That was nice. Hamzah, any thoughts on Jarell Quansah? Either watching him or anything in his numbers that you want to pull out?
Yeah. Yes, good area win rate. 3 point. Again, it's only just under 650 minutes on the FBref database, but it's 3.62 wins per 90, which is in the top 5% of.
You got all comps though, all comps. Yeah. He's getting 63%. Not bad for a 21-year-old or 20-year-old even until now.
63.4, which is okay. Room for improvement, but as I said, good. And often with young players, I'm always reluctant to talk them up too much because it's just a lot of pressure for young players, playing as it is. But he's promising. He's really good, and he got into the under 21s in England, the 21s team at the start of the season, and I think he'll probably keep that place. He's done well for them, and he's done well for Liverpool too.
And I think when we're talking about these players, they're only 20. 3 of them are only 20. And the other one's 21 at the moment. And if you look at something like Curtis Jones had his breakout. He's 22. He's 23 tomorrow, actually. So happy birthday for tomorrow, Curtis. So his breakout season has been age 22. And since he got back into the team against Chelsea at the start of April last year, coincidentally when the team went on, it started to go on its really, really good run. He's had 8 goals and 4 assists in all competitions. And if you look at his minutes, that's 28 full games worth of minutes. So 8 goals, 4 assists, a goal and assists every 226 minutes. So Jones was 22 at the start of the season. So was Dominic Szoboszlai. Zobo only turned 23 last October. So this is the level, by 22, you really need to be putting in tremendous performances and output to make it at a team like Liverpool. So do you think, Hamzah, that Quansah, you could see him building on that, and about age 22, he could be similar to Jones and Szoboszlai at 22?
Oh, well, the centre-backs are always different, aren't they? They usually just develop a bit later. And
they can do, yeah.
They usually get their opportunities a bit later too. It's just, I think Tom Warville did a piece a number of years ago looking at the sort of average age of players in certain positions. I remember the average age of the centre-backs was just a bit higher than in the league.
But it has changed. It's changed really quickly recently.
Oh, has it?
Yeah. It's a speed and power thing. So there's been in all of the positions that didn't used to rank speed and power as part of their position, that now the world has discovered that speed and power plays in every position. So the speed and power is more common in a younger player. So they're picking younger players earlier. So all everything's gone down, but centre back has gone down the most. But it's still higher than a winger, but it's gone down from what it was 5 years ago, even.
Do you think, Si, do you think Quansah could be on that trajectory like Curtis to break out age 22?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Let's go to Conor Bradley. Much fewer minutes than Quansah. Hamzah. Conor Bradley's only got, 400 and something minutes now in this season, but good God, he's made a hell of an impact.
He's done really well. There is
489 minutes this season.
There's some chatter about whether he could play right back and Trent could play in field, and I think that tells you the level of impression he's made on people. But I think to come to that judgment, you just have to see a lot more football at this level. He did very well at Bolton. And it's very important to have senior first team minutes.
Played over 4,000 minutes at Bolton, age 19.
And he was Players Player of the Season, Fans Player of the Season, and Player of the Season. Yeah. So he had all those accolades.
At Blackburn.
Harvey was the same when he was there.
No, that was Blackburn, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just saying on their loan year.
Oh, yeah.
I think before you can make any judgment like that, you just need to see a lot more of him.
So we don't want to get giddy, Hamzah, right? Ooh. But he is the greatest talent. No, forget that. Right? We don't get giddy. He just made a hell of an impression in this run of games, this run of 4 starts. This is what you call grasping your opportunity with both hands, isn't it?
Yeah. But at the same time, he's also playing with Van Dijk and Konate. And Alisson, and even though there's injuries in midfield, he's still ahead of him. He's got Jota and Nunez and Jones and McAllister. So these players also make that transition a bit easier. Often when stats are sort of emergent as well. So if you play for a good team, you get the opportunity to get good stats. If I can just give the ball to Darwin Nunez, there's a good chance I'll get a shot assist, even if I give it to him in a bad area, right?
Yeah.
This is not in any way to sort of down.
What you're trying to do is you're trying to keep us all grounded.
And I just think we just need to see a bit more of him. But he's really, really impressive in terms of his dynamism and the ability to last matches and compete physically. And that often you don't see from players as young as him. But yeah, good young player.
Yeah, absolutely. Si, I mean, he's putting up some pretty remarkable numbers considering in a very short space of time.
Yeah, but it really is 532 minutes. It means nothing.
Yeah.
I like the cut of his jib. That's about as much as you can say about any player in that time.
Yeah. But I like the idea that he is in a transitional team here. Lots of big players absent. I would say to counter to, he's not like he's the one young player in a full strength team. There's a lot of absences.
He's replacing the big player.
Yeah, exactly. And he's still getting key passes. He's still taking shots. He's still creating high quality chances. He's making a lot of dribbles. He's attempting a lot of dribbles by a fullback standards, 4 games. And the best thing of all is his combative nature is reflecting the volume of duels he's racking up. He's averaged almost 15 duels a game over 4 starts. That's astonishing numbers, really. I think what it just shows you, Si, is that it passes the eye test. He basically loves a 50-50, and he doesn't even hesitate over a 40-60.
No. Somebody said he's like a right-footed Robbo, and it makes a ton of sense to me. So it's a very, I think it's probably a little bit racist, but it also feels like an appropriate comparison.
But yeah, so Conor Bradley, 21 in July. It'd be pretty confident about saying that, he could, by age 22, he could be really, really a significant player for Liverpool.
I'm not confident of any of it. I would like him to be. I think if he continues this path, I haven't seen anything that convinces me that can't be true.
Okay. But development is complex. You might get an injury. You might not get an opportunity.
That's the thing. The thing that I like about him most is his playing history so far.
4,000 minutes, age 19.
Yeah, well, it's what he did before that as well. So at the younger ages, like he's always been a robust, play all the time kid, and he didn't have big growth injuries or anything. So the markers look positive from a physical kid. So yes, it's all very positive about that.
Okay. So next, we're going to look at Harvey Elliott. He's 21 in April, and you've been following him quite closely for England as well, Hamzah. Where are you on the Harvey Elliott development journey, and what do you think of his contribution during the recent run?
I'm roughly where I was before. I think there's a lot of scope for development, and I think still at the same age as Bradley, there's still a lot of opportunity for him to grow. And if you look at someone like Curtis Jones, who had a semi-similar sort of path of being remolded from a more attacking flair type midfielder to a central one, although sometimes Elliott plays out wide, so it's not an exact sort of comparison. I think there's still a lot of scope for development. I think it's going to be tough to get more minutes in this Liverpool group of midfielders. So,
he's had 4,000 minutes since the start of last season. That's a lot of minutes.
And I think a lot of those last season weren't the best minutes. Covering for Salah is also quite covering the right wing position with his particular physical characteristics, as in he's not as quick as Salah, he doesn't take as many shots as Salah, and he's not as physical as Salah, means that it's quite hard to fill in for that position. Yet, I'm still quite positive about his on-ball contribution, and I think that there is a lot more that he can offer from that, and I think he's shown it in glimpses, which is why I'm still sort of semi-bullish about that.
Are you concerned by 2 goals and 3 assists since the start of last season?
Yeah, but at the same time, that can happen. As in, he's not like he's even though he plays in midfield for a long time, the midfield weren't contributing goals.
No,
he's boxing.
Well, he fitted right in that respect.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is because it doesn't look great when Conor Bradley can equal his assist tally in 4 matches, but it could be a lot of that as circumstance and stuff like that. But you're optimistic that he can increase that output.
Yeah, I mean, the development that Jones has showed over the last
that's
year,
his pathway, is it?
I hope that, fingers crossed, that it is. But I think if you look at the development of Jones, especially his out of possession work over the past year, his post match, Curtis Jones is an inspiration for everyone in the academy, because if he can learn how to defend, everyone else can.
Well, it's not only that; he's one of the best counter pressers in the 11. So
exactly that, right? I think at this stage, development can go all manner of ways, and it could accelerate rapidly, it could accelerate sort of slowly, it could sort of stagnate, it could drop off. But I don't think it's going to drop off, and I think there's enough potential there for you to expect that there will be some significant progression. And like I said, sort of same age as Bradley as well. So I wouldn't worry too much about Elliott.
Si, Harvey.
Harvey does what Harvey does. That he can't. I think it's flawed comparing him with CJ in that our tactical system expects a greyhound, and they
Which dog is Harvey in this analogy?
They saw that CJ was a whippet, and they nudged him into having the traits of a greyhound. And you can't make a poodle a greyhound.
Harvey's a poodle. That's mean because of his hair.
I think he's probably one of those new kind of dogs that sits in a bag of some blonde lady.
A cockapoo. One that looks like
one of those, yeah. He does all of the very showy stuff without an awful lot of substance. And he is one of those kids that has managed to do the showy stuff that people that don't understand deep analytics thinks is analytic.
Go on, you got me confused with that one.
He can. You should be an expert at this, because you've said right from the start about progressive meters.
Oh yeah.
That he picks a ball up in a pocket and passes the ball 20 meters with nobody in front of him to mow, and he does that 10 times a game, and he's got 200 meters of progressive passing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Point taken. Yes.
Not only does he not have, this is not to take down Harvey, I don't mean to. I think he's a really big talent. I think he could be a really big player in the Premier League, but he is a cheap Santi Cazorla. He is not David Silva. And that's where people are going with this. He's not he can help out in the build phase. He is not going to end out. He's not ending moves.
Do you think it's possible for him to get in the box more, say?
No, I don't think it's possible. He's not that kid. I think you innately are a killer, or you aren't, and he's not. There's no chance he's playing on the right wing, and he is tasked with not bothering to get into the box.
Yeah.
You talk about goals or assists, right? And Hamzah was defending him because you don't know who's ahead of him, and I was thinking, well, he might have made a pass to Darwin and he missed 6 of them. So I've just looked at the big chances, and do you know how many big chances he's created this season in the league in Europe?
3?
1.
1. Wow.
Like what? That's like a centre back having an aerial conversion of 10%.
Yeah. Okay.
It's literally the thing he's there for.
Yeah, because he's the attacking of the midfield. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you're going to be making progressive passes, your progressive passes, they better end up with somebody having a shot.
So are you less optimistic about Elliott following, say, the Jones path than, say, Bradley and Quansah?
Jones had physical gifts that Harvey doesn't.
Yeah.
So you can't
speed and height.
No, yeah, you can't create those, and that's what you need to play in a modern midfield. That Harvey's probably born 20 years too late to be the player that he could have been if he was born in the
he would have been winning European Cups with Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest, wouldn't he?
He could have been a 10. He could have been the luxury 10. Yeah. And he might have had a really nice career, getting five goals a season from outside the box that were on Match of the Day. That kind of footballer.
Are you saying he's Matt Letizia, except with this?
Matt Letizia is way better.
All right, okay. Anyway, let's move on.
He's a hell of a footballer.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And finally...
He is one of those, sorry, just to finish off. Like most teams in the Premier League, had like a sexy 10 that was on Match of the Day and would nutmeg two lads and get a glorious assist once every 6 weeks.
JJ Okocha.
JJ's way better as well, but yeah. But like there are loads of them, and they would have a relatively short peak, and I think that's where he is. He'll end up like at Villa or West Ham, and he'll do some skillful stuff occasionally.
Yeah. Okay, and staying with you, Si. Ryan Gravenberch, 2022 in May.
Honestly, I don't really have an opinion on him. I haven't followed him anywhere near enough. I knew nothing about him at all when we bought him. He looks like a kid that's bedding into me. People got really excited when he first signed because he carried the ball 20 meters and had a shimmy. Then they all fell off a cliff because he threw his arms in the air because he couldn't be bothered to track back. He's somewhere in the middle. I think he has a really high ceiling. I think he has a really high floor. I think that he might be the player the next manager matters to most.
Yeah. And finally, Hamzah, last word for you, Ryan Gravenberch. Thoughts on Ryan?
Yeah, it's good. I think we're seeing a bit more of him now in the past few matches.
Yeah.
I think he shows potential. And again, just like the other player, I mean, he turns 22 later this year. And as Si mentioned, the advantage that Jones had was his physical attributes. Gravenberch has them as well. He
does. Certainly does.
And he's quite silky with the ball as well. So you put those together.
You can imagine he would look good on the highlights reel, and he is moving, and he has got a nice body swerve, hasn't he, and stuff. So, But just on because this is the Fulham pod as well. We didn't even mention Grav's performance there, but there was two really cheap turnovers in the first 10 minutes, and then not another one for the rest of the match. And I was thinking that's progression, because I was on course to smash my TV, I think, but that's one thing that has really got to be knuckled down and eliminated, is that cheap turnover in central areas, which creates that negative transition situation for the opponents.
Yeah, and I think just to give a few stats to add a bit of colour to that Fulham match, he won 7 ground duels and lost 3. Won his 1 of 1. He won 7 duels and lost 3, and ground duels 6 of 9, and won 1 of 1 aerial duels, and then had 6 ball recoveries as well, and 4 interceptions. And then to pair with that in the Norwich match, 7 of 4 won and lost duels, 6 of 9 ground duels, 1 of 2 aerials, and 2 ball recoveries as well. As in improvement, and 3 tackles won as well.
Yeah, definitely.
As in, just one to keep an eye on.
Did you agree with Si that the next manager is going to be a big impact on Gravenberch's development? Because there won't be Klopp to develop him anymore. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I wonder if they'll use McAllister in the same way, or Jones in the same way, or Sobbers, because Sobbers can play further up. McAllister can play further up. I'm not yet sure of what position exactly Grav's best is, but just because I haven't watched him an awful lot.
I think he's best in Szoboszlai's position. So there's reserve then, in my opinion, kind of thing. I think that's a fair point. But I think because of his versatility, he could develop into a very different player as well. And I'm not sure which route that will take, but I think there's potential there to mould him in a slightly different way to rather than just being an 8 or attacking midfielder, maybe play him a bit deeper. But yeah, we'll see. Well, and on that bombshell, we will thank you both for this marathon pod. I mean, goodness me, I know we talked half an hour on Kloppo to start, but thank you for sticking with it, boys, and thank you everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the sports science, really techie stuff, nerdy stuff in the middle, let us know. Give us your feedback. We will be back for is it Chelsea and Arsenal?
Chelsea and Arsenal.
We'll be back for a Chelsea and Arsenal double Premier League header. Premier League double header.
I think we should try and find time on Friday or something
to try and do the Chelsea match.
Yeah.
Okay. Now watch the space. We may break it up into separate pods. But thank you, Si. Thank you, Hamzah. And until next time, up the fucking Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network. Let's talk about Medi-Cal. You have a choice, and Molina makes it easy, especially when it comes to the care you need. So let's talk about you, about making your life easier, about extra help to manage your health. Let's talk about your needs now and for the future. Nobody knows Medi-Cal better than Molina. It starts with a phone call. Call 866-420-5330 or visit meetmolinaca.com. Let's talk today.